Hey up everyone, what's going on? Welcome back to York City, the Swan Song season. Yeah, I've decided to definitely make this the last season for York. If you haven't watched the Euros that we did over the summer, go check those out. But transfers, outgoings, incomings, all up after this intro. And as always, for this, I will start with the outs, the final players that we have let go. Well, I say the final players, this is a January window to come, but final summer. This one we knew about. Brewster, it was a loan with a mandatory fee, £10 million for him. Yeah, sure. There's been a bunch of loans as well, but Isidore Medina has gone for £25 million up front and 30 over time, potentially. Well, £5 million over time, should clarify that. He's 27 now, which is ridiculous. But I figured he's played backup for far too long for us. Let him go out, spread his wings. He's not great at really everything. There's a lot of 14s and 15s, basically the borderline area. Very solid backup for us, but he could be a starter elsewhere, essentially. And I figured this is the last transfer window. It's a good time for me to let those players go who have suffered on the sidelines at our club for far too long, basically. Let them go out and have a year at the very least where they can play football. And it's the same deal with Maximiliano Argueso. He's been out on loan basically every year. He's been here. Has played backup for us a few times. He's actually made 5 appearances for us over the course of his time here. One of those players I brought in on future transfers a long time ago in the hope that he would develop into a very good player. And he has. He has developed into a very good player, but like Medina, just slightly fractionally better, in my opinion. A few more of those 15s turned into 16s, 17 for positioning, for instance, there. But he's gone. Grand total of 38 million in the end. There was a bit of a bidding war. It kept going higher and higher and higher. It started with, I forget which club, and then Norwich came in, and then Sheffield United came in slightly higher on, and then eventually Atalanta said 38 million. Okay then. And probably one you're expecting. It was obviously a bit of a question mark on which player would go. I've just realised he liked big matches. Oh, for God's sake. But no, Castillo went mostly because he was the foreign player of the 3 left backs, and that's a very important thing we needed right now is opening up those foreign spots. Even though that now Ivan, Seri and Rick no longer count as foreign players, thank God, we had to try and shift a few of them, perhaps, the foreign players. That's why Argueso went, that's why Medina went as well, because I think Medina actually is an English citizen now, but that's why Argueso went in particular as well. But it's £47.5 million up front, and there is more to come potentially on that one. Not that we'll ever see the more to come, but I figured 47.5. It was good enough at that point. It was the highest I managed. With him, I was actively trying to get rid of Castillo during this one. People kept coming in at like 30 million, 35, and eventually I squeezed Arsenal. One of the few people who actually came in with a negotiable offer. It's been a weird thing that it seems like the higher rated we are as a club, the less negotiable the offers get. I love Castillo. His stats are fantastic. He was very good for us, but essentially it's just opening up that foreign player when we already have 2 very good other left backs. Right, I'll just go on Silva. There's been a fair whack of loans out, and Silva is probably the most notable of those. Ben Godfrey we sent out on loan. I'm talking about foreign players. Obviously, he's a homegrown club player, but I figured he wasn't going to play here. I realised whilst I also had 70,000 strikers, I also had an equal amount of central defenders at this point. So that's why we sold 2 of them. That's why we've sent Godfrey out on loan. Claudel's on his way out as well. Silva's very good. He just didn't really play at all last year. So I figured send him out. We've got Jamie Harvey, and of course we've got Fabian Dahl, who's not gone out either yet. Although I don't know if I will loan Fabian Dahl out just because he's young enough to become homegrown club in 3 years. If I ever decide to continue this course off YouTube, then keeping him around as a homegrown club potential in the future would be very, very useful, particularly in that striker role, because he is trained in England to start with, so he won't count as a foreign player, even though he is Norwegian. He is actually eligible for England. I could nick him on that front. I'm still England manager, by the way. Winning the Euros, I figured if I ever do continue it, there's a World Cup opportunity in 2 years' time. If I hadn't won the Euros, I probably would have resigned. Now the inbounds. There's only really 3 inbounds to note, the first of which was the free agent on Christophe Bruil. He was the only really free agent that was worth maybe going for in this one. I say that. There was Emmanuel Hatton, the striker from Lyon, I think he was. He went on a free at the end of that year. Very good player. Doesn't like big games or is injury prone. He had a massive con. I forgot what it was. He's ended up going to Barcelona. I was tempted just in the sort of a similar vein of Carpentier, where I could get him in, maybe sell him on. Although Carpentier is very, very good and doesn't have that drawback. But yeah, I figured I could maybe bring him, sell him on, something like that. Bruil, similar kind of focus, really. I knew he was reasonably good. Personality's not great. He's not first choice. That's spoiled one. And I figured and his scout report had him as, being a decent backup in the midfield. Is a foreign player. He's probably end up going to go on loan. Can't fit him into my plans, I don't think. I can't remember if he's registered or not, but he's very good. I could sell him on for a reasonable amount next summer if I wanted to. Yeah, and the one that kind of spoilt was Jude Bellingham. I decided to bring him in. It's the final year here at York. I figured I might as well try and get in a player that I've not actually managed yet. So Jude Bellingham, obviously one of those players that pretty much everyone signs on this year's engine because he has a lot of potential. I don't know if his potential has actually even gone up in the January window. This is, of course, as I say repeatedly, the original engine. He's on 140 grand a week, but I figured he had a great World Cup. Narratively, me bringing him in to my York side made a lot of sense. Of course, he's an English player, so I don't need to register him. I did have the sense that Grimes might leave. He didn't, but I figured he would replace Grimes if he did. Also going to play slightly further forward if we lost Vidal, which we didn't. You may have seen on Twitter there was an opening offer of £117 million. That was from Milan. The transfer window literally opened and they sent me two £170 million offers. I got greedy on one of them and they backed out of that one and declined the other one. The one I got greedy on was Vidal. The one I just straight up declined was Godoy. But yeah, I decided to try and squeeze them a little bit more on the Vidal one. And they backed straight out. And the way that window panned out, I wish I had just clicked accept straight away because I couldn't get him anywhere near that after that point. Real Madrid kept offering 30 million for him. Southampton was the nearest I got to actually selling him. They accepted ridiculous amounts in the end. He just didn't accept a contract with them, I don't think. I did accept them just to see what they would do, but he didn't leave. I think I got them up to about nearly 100 million in the end, around 100 million with add-ons. But Bellingham's here. It's a reasonable amount for him. He's worth 58 million, but we spent 49 on him. Of course, to say Southampton were offering weirdly big amounts for Southampton for Vidal. They had the money from this sale, of course, in that sense. So they were just trying to spend the money they got from Bellingham straight back with Vidal. He's very good. You can see him. You know how good he is, really. I don't think this is necessarily the best Bellingham can possibly get in the engine, but a lot of 15s that make him look slightly worse than he actually is because they're not in yellow. But pretty much all the other physicals are 15, passing's 15. Very solid, 3-star in our squad, right in the middle, just good. And very, very versatile as well in where you can play. And then the other one, the last one, which I have also put on Twitter, I came very, very, very close to breaking my £100 million rule. For £99 million, welcome Coffee Morena. Not giving him a face yet, that's my mistake. You might remember a few years ago in one of these transfer specials, I said I went for a central defender from PSG, who then re-signed with PSG. Now, he wasn't on a massive contract over there, weirdly. It was not that much more than £100 million. Can't quite remember. But for PSG standards, it was a lot. Worth mentioning this point, I went for Bellingham. I went for Kylian Mbappe. He wanted way more than I could possibly even offer. My max I can offer was 300k. I think he wanted about 500. It's less than he's on at PSG, weirdly. But he's 33. So yeah, we didn't get Mbappe, but I figured I'd go back in. He was on a reasonable amount of wages. I figured I might be able to get him on a wage that's within our kind of structure-ish. I'm still trying to keep to it, about 200, 220 hard cap was what I was thinking. £190,000 a week for Coffee Morena. He's bloody brilliant. Like I say, in a similar boat to Bellingham and Mbappe, it's the final year I'm going to do on YouTube. I wanted to bring in someone that I've coveted, and that's Morena. I did eye that Casa from Liverpool, but then I realised he's actually about 160 something centimetres. He's not a centre-back, despite the fact that's where he plays for the most part. He's got the stats for centre-back, he just doesn't have the height for centre-back. He is very much a defensive midfielder, and I'm toyed with that idea, sort of just straight up playing defensive rather than offensive midfielder. I'm sticking with the 4-2-2-2 for the time being, as first choice anyway. Vidal's still here, I will play him if I want to. I've still got Teco still here, I'll play him if I want to. But Morena can play left back as cover, so losing Castillo is not the end of the world. Those physicals, those top end mentals, those bottom end mentals actually aren't that bad either. Vision and positioning 15s, marking he's only 14, but his passing and his technique. For me, this is the best ball-playing midfielder in the game. Azarta's ball-playing ability is not quite as good. He's arguably fractionally the better defender, but Morena's the better ball-playing defender. £99 million. We had the money. I figured I'd spend it. And I wanted him for 3 years now, basically. Tried to sign him when I think he was 18, 19, and failed. This summer, I've not. And what that means is we are actually, quite significantly, favourites for the Premier Division with 5-2. Our next nearest are 7-2. So it's not even sort of like a half odds gap. It's a full 1 gap, essentially. And you can see there, team of the season, Christian is now apparently the best goalkeeper. Cass alongside Azarta and Moreno in that back line, with Aladima, the right back that I've shown so many times, that went to Man City. That was in the Euros, that bit of news. Ramirez is actually in the midfield for some reason, as is Watson, of course, who can play there. Godoy's up front, along with Mombrini. Now, he's a very, very good striker that I would have gone for if we didn't have 7. He's gone to Tottenham. He was the most affordable, brilliant striker you could possibly get right now. He was at Atalanta, so not at the top clubs. And some interesting manager movements as well. Clarence Seedorf's gone to Liverpool. Tuchel, sacked by Man United, went to Chelsea. And Diego Simeone filled that gap at Man United. And then at Arsenal, Chris Wilder. Oh, and Mauro Mbalo's moved on loan. Why? Well, we've played one game. We won it 4-0. It was against Aston Villa, a newly promoted side. Unsurprising, really. 2 assists for Cantoro in that one, as you can see right there. Godoy and Ramirez. And Gonzalez with 2 goals. He wasn't on the list, but he did get 2 goals. So our front line firing quite nicely there. But I figured we should put one game in today's episode, and that game is going to be the Europa Super Cup. I figured it was more interesting than the first game of the season against Aston Villa. Now, Strasbourg somehow won the Europa League. In fact, I kind of want to see what their run was. I've not even checked this. Because throughout the summer, I saw them sort of being interested in some reasonable players. Those sort of players that you would get for an up-and-coming team. The players that have great potential and are worth about 20, 30 million. And you can get on reasonable wages. That's what Strasbourg were doing all over the summer. They got one of those players that are not quite there yet, but will be in sort of a year or 2. So they're not, that would play sort of back up to a team like us now, but would be sort of first teamers for that kind of middle Premier League side. So their Europa League final, they beat Liverpool in the final. They beat Monaco. They won the French Cup final as well. Blimey, they had a year, didn't they? They beat Juventus. Strasbourg, weirdly, is where Brewster was on loan from PSG last year. You can see in that squad there, actually, against Juventus. They've got some of the sort of the now older young players that are quite good. They had Ndombele, Braganca, Lewis Gibson, Botella was in their squad last year. So they had a whole lot of them. They beat Tottenham as well. We failed to do that. They beat PSG in the semi-cup final. They had a year. Sorry, where did they finish in Ligue 1? Where are they predicted in Ligue 1? 4th now. Okay, so yeah, they've done quite well. I wonder if they've been taken over or something, because they are way higher than they normally would be. They did only finish 5th, but they did obviously get Champions League football from winning the Europa League. Lyon won the title, though. Blimey. So fascinating there. I did notice they just lost their first game. They are bottom of Liga as things stand. Bit awkward. Only one game, though. The great news is our first team is pretty much available here, so we will play it. And you get a lot more bench players. Carpentier has just come back. He didn't play the first game. Neither did Harvey. They were both on international duty. I think they start the Olympics thing that was going on. The under-23s were being used, which somehow included Sheldon at the Olympics. I don't know how that works. Oh, Fiore's back. Fiore was also injured for the opening game as well. So I think that's what we're going for. I'm just going to take Carpentier out. He's not back to full condition just yet. I'm just going to let him have this one. Christian will be in goal. Kovalev, Moreno, Azata, Fiore, Vidarson and Seri in the middle. Ramirez and Cantoro on the wings. Said that weirdly. Godoy and Gonzalez are up front. The bench is very strong. Also, Labad. I've not sent either goalkeeper on loan this year. Labad is our second best goalkeeper. He was out on loan last year. That's why Kappa said he was doing it. But yeah, he's very solid backup. Oh, in case you're wondering why Christian is the best goalkeeper in the league now, that's why. And incoming spoilers, yes, despite the fact we put 4 past him in the World Cup final, he is the best Premier League goalkeeper, ahead of Baxter, weirdly. They still have Patella, actually, and Ndombele and Braganca. They're all still there. I say, pretty certain Milton is okay. And Sabarin, I saw on quite a lot of those score sheets. Again, pretty okay. On high wages, I think they might have been subject to a takeover at some point, because that's a lot of money per week for a team like Strasbourg for a player like that. I think they've got the moolah. Oh, and for those of you that were following the Euros, the Copa America was going on at the same time. I can't remember if I actually showed you who won between Argentina and Brazil. It was Brazil, and Brazil went on to win the title, which is pretty much what I predicted at that stage. I did say whoever won the Argentina-Brazil match in those quarterfinals would just go on to win it, because there's no one on their level left. Brazil did go on to win it. So there we are. Fiore's coming forward. He's still coming forward. That's pretty much an entire goal width wide. That's a weird highlight. So yes, not only do we have Euro Championship winners in our squad, we have the Copa America winners too, in the form of Seri, Rick. Of course, Ramirez just goes very close to there. Ramirez is Argentinian. So is Godoy. So pretty much no matter which way that Argentina-Brazil match panned out, we were pretty much nailed on to get a Copa America winner there. But Gonzalez, of course, fresh from his World Cup final appearance, his only appearance for Spain so far. I still don't understand that one. I think they had an injury to their main striker, Spain, and then their second choice was a bit tired, so they played Gonzalez. I did have to congratulate him on his first cap for Spain, which was a little weird. Tavanari's gone wide there. Tavanari, I recognise that name too. I think he's scouted, so yeah, he's been on my radar, clearly. He might be one of those players that had a release clause that was viable for a profit. Lovely tackle by Seri on his fellow number 8 there has given us the possession. It's now with Cantoro on the right-hand side. Seri back again. That's got to Braganca though, and he's hoofed it straight across the pitch to Kovalev. In my Euro Championship squad, Kovalev, along with Saxton, both York players. Azata, Fiore out on this right-hand side again. Fiore's still in. He's going to go himself. No, he isn't. He's pulling it back. Gonzalez has scored. Putting aside the disappointment of the Euro Championship finals and scoring 3 goals in the first 2 games for York. I mean, great work for Fiore. Now, 95% of the time, this would just be kicked straight to the goalkeeper there, but he's pulled it back for Gonzalez, which I do love to see. And there we are. He's put it away, has Gonzalez. Godoy's taken number 9, by the way, from Silva, who's had it the past 2-3 years now. I figured last year's Premier League top goal scorer should have the number 9 in our squad, particularly as Silva's now gone out on loan, of course. It was something that was always probably going to happen. Now, I don't know what that does for Silva's foreign status, because he was awaiting paperwork for England citizenship at the point of sending him out on loan. And Gonzalez has made it too there. Sorry, it just confused me for a second. I didn't know what was going on. Gonzalez has scored a header from a free kick whipped in by Seri. I think Gonzalez actually has dual nationality. It's Spanish and then I think it's Argentinian. They're the ones that speak Spanish in South America. But he opted to play for Spain. Gonzalez comes forward. I think I found him in Argentina. Sabarin coming forward for them now. He's gone past some of the defence. He's gone around all of the defence. He's gone around all of the defence. Christian, great save. Now at 2-0, obviously letting them back in would be slightly awkward for us. Make it slightly nervy, and I don't want that. Milton, never mind. Our defensive line looking quite good rating-wise. I did notice there in this brief second we had the normal bit. Fiore's, I don't think that was a header. Ramirez, Kovalev, finds Moreno. Godoy. Now, obviously, Azata and Moreno both have stronger left feet. It seems to be a weird thing in my set of players available to me. But defender-wise, the ones that have come through, the really good ones, they're all pretty much left-footed. And I don't know why. It's just a weird trend in my game. Normally, in previous saves, I cannot for the life of me find a left-footed defender. And I'm just inundated with right-footed ones. Now I've got like 4 left-footed defenders. Parkinson's left-footed, Claudel I think is left-footed. Predominantly, I think Rick is the only one that isn't. But purely on the basis that Moreno has left back full circle, green circle for left back as well, that's why I'm playing him on the left. And of course, Azata played quite well on that right side when he was alongside Coleridge there, who again, left-footed defender. They've managed to gain a corner. There's 7 minutes gone. I've not actually made any changes yet. And we're still on attacking. I might just play it back now. 20 minutes to go, 2-0 up. I mean, they got some pretty old players now. 35-year-old Tanguy Ndombele. Still technically and mentally sensational. Physically, gone. Now, Godoy's not had a good game. It's maybe just a chance to maybe get Harvey some minutes. Are these both left-footed as well, Gonzalez? Yeah, he prefers to be on the left. And he prefers to be on the right. So we'll swap them over. Why not? Vidarson can probably come off for a few. Grimes. I am spoiled for choice with the midfield in today's 12-man bench. Barwick's there. Bellingham's there. Although I think I might just make all 3 changes. I might just put Yurchenko on that right side and just change all 3 and be done with it. Right side was a bit of a question mark because Yurchenko still counts as a foreign player, despite being homegrown club, of course. I think, weirdly, I'm in a much better position for registration for the Champions League than I am the Premier League because of all this. But here comes Yurchenko, who's always really performed when we've had him on the pitch, whenever Cantoro was out of form or injured last year. Brian Gill, I recognise that name as well. He's a real player. Not scouted right now, but I think he might have been at one point. Sabatier I recognise as well. Might have potential, and might have scouted him when he came through their youth system originally. Like in the youth poaching thing, Sabatier. Marchand as well. For some reason I recognise both of those names. They might have been in Strasbourg's youth intake one year. Didn't opt for them, but I recognise them for some reason. I recognise those names. Ramirez finds Grimes, finds Gonzalez. Lovely ball there to Gonzalez. Great tackle though. Oh, it's ricocheted actually. Might have been the highlight. It was, yeah. Lovely ball from Grimes there. You do love to see that though. Kovalev has hoofed this up and Gonzalez has kept it in. I thought the highlight might have been over. There was a good save from Christian, which I just failed to talk over really. Yurchenko on the back post. 2 great blocks from Braganca, I think. And that might be the highlight in the end then. Although now they're coming forward and the highlight persists. Azata does what Azata does. And there we go. You don't see us in 3D because I'm not in 3D. But 2 goals from Gonzalez seals this one. Actually, shots on target wise, pretty even. Possession, pretty even. Total shots though, slightly better of it. Blimey, he can play literally all the way down that right hand side. Can't mind Franchini. He's versatile. Can't cross apparently, but defensively, pretty good. Yeah, good performances really all told. Chance conversion might have to go back in the training sooner rather than later, but we'll see about that one. Harvey makes York debut. Harvey still confuses me with his... He made 11 starts after we loaned him back after buying him in January for 8 million. He only started 4 games in the previous 2 years. I still don't understand that. Clearly they brought in a player who took his place sometime during that year. I think it's that Dutch striker who we played against twice in the World Cup. But baffling. But for when we come back, it will probably be around the Champions League at some point. Although there is a Man City game after the first Champions League game, so I might just bring you back for the first one no matter who the opponent is, along with that Man City game there. Obviously, the focus for this Swan Song year will be defending all those major titles, so the Premier League, the FA Cup, the Champions League, of course. So that Man City game with the Champions League game that's attached to it, probably definitely going to be the play next time out. I'll see you for that. Until then, ta-ra.